Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Nine, eight, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
on the morning shift.
Anything could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Hey everyone, good morning. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us. We had a little bit different beginning to the show this morning, and that's because something a little different is happening on with our technology, trying to get the show up on CKLU 96.7 FM. Not sure what's going on. Things happen. We're not sure anymore of anything. Software updates and things work, things don't work. Things work sometimes, things don't work other times. Not sure exactly what the situation is. So while we're on the fly, while I'm talking to you, we're trying to figure it out, trying to think and talk at the same time about troubleshooting. Not easy to do. But anyways, thanks for being with us. It's Monday, December the 2nd. I can't believe it's December already. I don't know if you can believe that or not. Time just flies while you're having fun. So I'm not sure what's happening with our situation here on the radio. Doesn't seem to be working for the time being. Everything's good on this side. Everything's good everywhere else. Everything's plugged in the way that it should. But for some strange reason, it is just not working. I'm just trying to see if someone was sending me a message of some kind, but no, there's nothing there. Not exactly sure what's going on here. If I hit play, maybe that will help to some degree. I have no idea. So yeah, maybe there's a whole other step involved now. Here, we'll see if we're going to be on the air. Could be the situation. Maybe it's not. I have no idea. Maybe it's going to play a previous show on CKLU. I have no idea. But yeah, let's let's just let everyone know that we're supposed to be live on CKLU 96.7 FM, cklu.ca. And I'm trying to keep tabs here. It doesn't look like there's any volume or anything coming through here. So we're just going to reload everything up and hopefully it works. I know we've had some issues with some Sudbury Wolves games as well on CKLU with some of our technology. I'm not sure if it's a program thing or what, but we'll hit play again. See if it happens. And it should be already going. I'm not sure. It says that it's playing, but it doesn't look like there's anything happening on CKLU. So we'll have to just put some music on, I guess, for the time being and try and figure out what's going on. And hopefully it's fixed by tomorrow. And then that's all we can do. So thanks for bearing with me on that. And we'll just shut her off. We'll just play some music. Here you go. Playlist. There they go. Some more jazz for everyone. All right. So we are not live on CKLU. We're not live streaming at cklu.ca, however music is right now. But we can definitely use your support, obviously, because we're held together with duct tape and glue. And we're supported by the community and people like you. It's the only way that we can keep the lights on, the airways open. And not only this show, but other shows, people volunteer. So if it's something that you're able to support financially by purchasing some merch on our website or just donating, that's one way that you can support the channel. Support the station. And but if you want to volunteer your time and energy, you can send an email to Rob Strawn. He's the general manager of CKLU. Let him know that you have an idea for a show. And you can volunteer by doing your own show, which can then turn into a podcast, which are all the rage these days. Podcasts. Everyone's got a podcast. Everyone wants to have a podcast. I wasn't on that bandwagon. I started this show 7 years ago as Sudbury Sports Talk. And we had the radio show and whatever. And before that, I also wanted to do news, but I just didn't feel comfortable doing it at the time for some reason, but always envisioned myself doing some type of a news show. And I think it was back in 2014, maybe even earlier than that, 2008, possibly. I had the twitter.com/Sudbury News, wanting to do something with that way back then. But here we are, and here you are. Thanks for sticking with us, even though we got off to a little bit of a rusty start. Let's dive in. We'll check in with a little bit of weather, and we'll be back with news headlines, your comments, more, and a discussion, because this is your conversation as we have each and every weekday morning between 7:30 and 8:30. We share our views on the news. So we don't just get the news told to us. We get to express our opinions on the news and enlighten one another with facts and things that we know that maybe other people can learn from. You got a piece of the puzzle. Other people can learn something from what you have. So we're all here to teach one another and learn from one another. And so with that, we'll be back right after the weather. It's some interesting weather, by the way. We'll be back right after this. Oh yeah, and maybe I had, because of all this commotion this morning, I didn't even get my screen working from to get the weather up on the screen. What a morning! I haven't had a morning like this in a while. We're just it's almost like everything is even like that. It's just an interesting morning altogether. Here we go. Here's your weather. Brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. It's currently -5 degrees, but it feels like -8. Today it's cloudy, 40% chance of flurries in the afternoon, wind becoming a whopping 20 kilometers per hour, which means basically you won't feel any wind. High of -1 with the wind chill. It'll feel like -12 this morning and then -5 in the afternoon. Tonight, cloudy, becoming partly cloudy before morning. Wind chill -7 in the evening and -12 overnight. So starting to feel a little bit more like winter. We are December the 2nd nonetheless. So Tuesday, a mix of sun and cloud, and the high will be -4 tomorrow. Wind chill -14 in the morning, -8 in the afternoon. And I'll look at your 6-day forecast. Again, -4, mainly cloudy tomorrow. -4, periods of snow on Wednesday, and then a 60% chance of flurries on Thursday. High of 7. Friday, sunny, -10. I'll believe it when I see it. And 60% chance of snow on Saturday, high of -8. 40% chance of flurries on Sunday, high of -5. What's the difference between a chance of snow and a chance of flurries? we'll just ponder that for a while. Okay, look at your satellite. Taken last night, so let's get more of an updated one if we can. Here it is. 1:30 a.m. That's about the latest one we can get, but I'm sure it all looks the same. Clouds from one end of the screen to the other with pockets of clear skies, mostly cloudy, all across from Winnipeg all the way across Quebec, all the way Manitoba, Quebec, Ontario, Wisconsin, Michigan, all clouds. And that's your Sudbury weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. So my mind is still boggled as to what just took place this morning. I know I updated my software last night. That's the only thing I can think that happened, but I updated it at my other studio as well, and everything worked perfectly. But for some reason, it just didn't work this morning for our feed getting on the radio. So not sure what happened there. Maybe we'll never know. And we'll just have to try to figure something out to make sure that we work for tomorrow. Now, there may not be a show on Wednesday. There may not be a show this Wednesday. I do have a dentist appointment, and it's in Southern Ontario. So traveling and things like that to take into effect, I will probably not be on Wednesday. So just a heads up here so that you know, I'll try and put something on Facebook as well. And Nana, good morning. Welcome to the show. Blessings, everyone. Heart emoji. And David, good morning to you. My goodness. You are becoming a staple on this show. Disabled Kane, which way would you swipe? Yes, I remember that from last night. Unfortunately, I do have to apologize to my friend Nick. You know, we had a picture. Well, you know Nick. She's on the show all the time. Anyways, she took a picture and she just, you know, when you make a funny face, well, she made about as funny of a face as you could. And I just snapshotted the face. And anyways, we were kind of laughing at her face yesterday, but really laughing. And I to the point of, I didn't want to offend or anything. I have to apologize, Nick, because we were really just laughing, but she made a really funny face. So we weren't laughing at her. We're laughing at the funny face she made. And she definitely has a talent. She has a comedic side to her and whatever. So, and we were saying, if you had this picture on a dating site, which way would you swipe? Right? So anyways, but didn't want to take it too far to the point of laughing at her. That was not the intention. It was that she made a really incredibly funny face. And anyways, so Judy, good morning to you on Facebook. Thanks for being with us, Judy. And Trevor, my goodness, you got a whopper here of a comment. I wonder when mainstream media will finally get to the segment in the script where they can reveal the shocking news about the SARS v. you know all that stuff, particularly originated from the National Microbiology Laboratory in Winnipeg, Canada. What about how the first super spreader event was held at the 2019 Military World Games? I remember that back in the day, right? And our Canadian troops or whatever coming back to Canada and having some symptoms. I think we might have forgot about all that stuff. And you guessed it, Wuhan, China. That's where the military games were, where infected personnel then traveled back home to their respective countries and allowed cases, quote unquote, to propagate before implementing mass PCR testing of an asymptomatic population, question mark. Maybe they saved that tidbit for the prequel. Yeah, well, you know what? We are wondering when a lot of things are going to be mainstream. And I think, at some point, things have to change because people don't trust. I listen to the news. I don't trust it. I think people still do. Like, I think you have very few options if you're driving in your car other than listening to podcasts, or if you have satellite radio maybe. But, if you just have terrestrial radio, you got the CBC for 24-hour kind of news and culture and whatever. I've thought for a long time there needs to be an alternative to the CBC that people can, while they're doing their taxes, choose whether to support the CBC, Radio Canada en français, or the alternative to the CBC or Radio Canada. That way, people can, through their donations, their taxes that they're paying for anyways, we pay more than $1.5 billion of our tax dollars to the CBC. And I, along with many, many other people, don't feel that they are practicing traditional, real journalism, having gone to school and taken what real journalism is. They're not practicing it. It's biased, very biased to one side. And not even a side, they're just biased to something. I have no idea. They don't give the full story. They choose which stories they talk about. So I thought, if we were to start an alternative to CBC, you can put it on all the same towers, just a different feed. You can have volunteers even at first, so it doesn't cost anything, who have experience in the field. So that way there's credible journalists who have a resume of journalism and hosts online. Everybody from producers to everything volunteering to start this radio station off. So that there's no cost to it. And you would find a lot of volunteers who want to actually, because a true journalist just wants to know the truth. They just want to get to the bottom of something. They want to unpack a story. They want to inform the public of what's really going on out there. And if we start this station like that and get it off the ground and people are listening to it, then give them the option in the next tax time. Okay, which radio station would you rather be listening, or would you rather have your support of financially? And you would see that some people would still want CBC, and that'd be great. And that's fine. And they would still continue. Maybe they wouldn't have as many reporters because they wouldn't have as much money. But the other station could be run by another group of people who actually want real news and deliver real news. And you'll see probably by, 2 or 3 tax seasons in, you'll have so little support for the CBC if they were to continue the way they continue now. And the other station or the other broadcasting organization would have all of the tax dollars from people choosing to support that, because it's real news and people want real news. They just do. And how incredible of an institution would that be, and how great of a thing would that be for Canada to have a media outlet supported by taxpayers that actually delivers bona fide, integral news from bona fide, real journalists who have integrity, and everyone on up, from the journalists to the show hosts, all the way to the producers, to the managers, to the CEO, everybody. They just want to deliver the truth. How about that? And how about just people being able to choose in our real democracy, in our true democracy where people get to choose? That would be the way to go about it. If you want a state-funded media, right? So you get the at least two choices. One choice doesn't work. It's a monopoly. So we break up monopolies in the free market. Why would we have a media monopoly? you know. And even with the people will say, well, there's other news outlets or whatever, but they're supported by the tax dollars too without people choosing to do that. And so eventually gets the same result. They're just delivering the same news as CBC is because they're funded by the same place. And they're not going to say anything against the people that are funding them or biting the hand that feeds them. Right? So if you were supported truly by a choice on your tax form, you would know truly the people wanted that, not the government. The people wanted that particular news organization to be their news organization. And if that got to the point where people didn't trust it anymore, do the same thing again. You know? Yeah. So why don't we do that? Why don't we push for that? Okay, Denise, good morning to you. Blessings, everyone. Same to you, Denise. And Marianne, good morning, everyone from Barrie. Yes, it is dead on CKLU. Well, it was. I put some music on now because we weren't able to get our show up and running on CKLU this morning for an unknown technical reason. Liked and shared, Marianne. Thank you very much. And good morning, Sudbury Patriots. That's Brian. Morning, Vin. Thanks for being on. Marianne says, you having a problem lately with the Wi-Fi also? Never had problems on my router logging off. Yeah, no. I don't know. You know, technical things. I'm not the most technical guy in the world. Once I set up something and it's running, I don't touch it. I don't mess with stuff. I get what works and it works. And if it doesn't, I'm not, I can do minor problem solving, but that's about it. We can hear you fine on this end. Yep, that is on social media for sure. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Later to be on both of those channels, pages on demand, and twitter.com/Sudbury News and Sudbury.news, our news aggregator. So remember to make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow those social media platforms. We'll get the word out. Good morning, everyone from chilly Collingwood. You got the frozen face emoji with some snow. Not nice. At least for me, anyways. I don't like it to be too cold or snowy. Monique Grand Rising with a heart emoji. I do not use ViaNet. No, it is Eastlink. Eastlink here in Greater Sudbury that we are using. We would use Bell Fiber Up if it was available. Depending, I'd probably have both and Starlink just for backup. We have Starlink as a backup, just haven't set it up yet. So we're trying to get all sources. And yes, Pat, good morning to you if I haven't said that. Smiley emoji there. And Jerome, good morning all. Let's have a great week. Beginning of the week today, yes. Highway 11 is closed from Aurelia all the way up to Huntsville. Marianne says Highway 11 will open. It's been closed for 2 days. Many travelers stranded. An emergency declared in Bracebridge and Ravenhurst. They had feet and upon feet of snow there. Just tons and tons of snow. Yeah, so with that, got the story right here. Raring to go. I believe it was here, but maybe it's not. Maybe I saw it someplace else. Yeah, it's crazy stuff for sure. That's probably the longest I've seen that be closed, like 2 days. Like, wow. Like, that's a long time. Police are urging people to stay home, to stay safe. That was the message from OPP last night in a media release issued just after 9 p.m. The OPP advised people to stay off Highway 11, which has been closed both directions from West Street exit in Aurelia all the way to Huntsville since Saturday. Additional vehicles on the roads put occupants at risk and add additional challenges for snow removal. That's what it said in the media release. The OPP say motorists following their GPS prompts have been redirected to alternate routes to bypass the highway closure. Unfortunately, This has led to Cooper's Falls Road and Housey's Rapids Road becoming impassable as several vehicles are now stuck in the snow. Reports by the OPP say, be wary of GPS, warns the OPP, noting in situations like this, your GPS may not provide accurate directions and could send you onto roads that have been closed or are treacherous. Highway 11 is expected to remain closed while efforts continue to clear crashed vehicles and the more than 120 centimeters of snow that has fallen since Friday night in some parts of the region north of Aurelia. This is coming from Sudbury.com, by the way. Other sections of Highway 11 are also closed at this time. Many other roads in the area are closed or not drivable, notes the media release. As a result, tractor trailers are asked to use Highway 35 or Highway 400 in the meantime, while snow removal crews work to clear the highway and surrounded roads. OPP officers, paramedics, and firefighters have been using snowmobiles and other off-road vehicles to check on stranded motorists. If you are low of fuel and are still moving, seriously consider finding a safe place to park until you are able to safely get to a gas station or someone can safely bring you fuel, notes the media release. Anyone who finds themselves stranded is advised to stay in their vehicle and not venture out on foot. Pedestrians could become lost or face hazards posed by snow removal equipment. The OPP urges people to call 911 if life-threatening situations happen, but to call their non-emergency number of 1-888-310-1122. Did not know that number. 1-888-310-1122. Easy to remember, however. For all other matters, our communication centers have been flooded with calls, so please be patient and ensure 911 lines are used for life-threatening matters. Interesting stuff going on there in terms of weather. Yeah, they definitely got it bad. And all of the dire predictions for the North Shore, Sault Ste. Marie got it bad. I know Manitoulin Island, but parts of the North Shore, Sudbury, we kind of escaped North Bay for some reason. Monique Grand Rising, Sudbury with a smiley emoji. Good morning to you. Brian, I would guess that a snow flurry is like a rain shower. A snow flurry is snow that falls short durations with varying intensity. Did you get that from Google, Brian, or did you come up with that on your own? Just kidding. I did ask the question, what's the difference between flurries and just snow? Thank you for that. Denise must be a great dentist to travel so far. Yeah, they are natural dentists. They use natural products. So if you go to a naturopath versus a doctor, it's the same thing as going to a holistic dentist versus a regular dentist. And there's no holistic dentists in our area. The closest is just outside Barrie. Liette, good luck traveling down south. It's wicked out there. Stay safe. Yeah, hopefully by Wednesday, it'll be a little better. Evelyn, good morning, peeps. Been very busy. Sorry, I haven't been here, but supporting you now. Well, thanks, Evelyn. Thanks for being on. You don't have to feel bad if you're not here every once in a while. At all. Glad to have you here. And Denise, that reminds me of all the planes coming out of China going all over the world. Remember that they were leaving China. Yeah, and that's to Trevor's comment of wondering when the media was going to start talking about, the beginnings of what we went through for the last 4 or 5 years now. And there's so many things coming out now. There's so much data. I know a friend of mine from work just shares with me the data. If you look at it now, you can tell it wasn't what we were told it was. You can tell maybe there was a lot of man-created things in there to make it happen, honestly. I don't say that lightly without researching a lot of stuff, but the data is pointing to nefarious things were going on. That wasn't just a natural happening. That was a weaponized sickness, first of all, and done on purpose in a lab, and then more than likely released on purpose. And yeah, so if that's the case, that would be a huge news story, correct? So if it is true, a lot of data is pointing towards that. And it would be great if we actually had real journalists and real news outlets out there that would, if it was back in the 60s or whatever, oh my. Even just 60 Minutes alone would nip it in the bud, and that'd be that. That'd be over. So, but today we're compromised to no end. So Marianne says, right, he needs to make sure roads are open. Definitely would need, we need the roads open. We have equipment and stuff to do that in Northern Ontario. To be a journalist, you need to be very open-minded. This is Larry. And Larry, good morning to you. Thanks for being on. And yes, you do need to be very open-minded and curious, naturally curious and someone who just questions a lot of things, just wants to know. And and maybe have some integrity too would be great. Like, even if it's not something that you normally agree with, but you found out it was true, that you don't suppress it just because it doesn't go along with your ideology, your beliefs, but you still do the story. Integrity, not found that much in our world, unfortunately. You need to be very open-minded to be a journalist. Yeah, I was on there, came on twice for some reason. I think journalists need to get back to the basics of what they know is right and start reporting the truth, for sure. However, I don't know if we can do that. I know independent media now is doing that. I know that. But there's obviously there's bills being passed here in Canada that are meant to, in my opinion, kill independent media, because true journalists hold politicians accountable. And if politicians are there making regulations and legislation, they're going to try to stop accountability as much as they can, right? So they're going to try to shut down real journalists, not the ones they want, their version of journalists, that they'll email them the questions in the morning, say, hey, these are the questions you're going to ask me this afternoon at the news conference. That's what the kind of journalism they want. And that's what they have right now. So that's okay. Do you think Trump will follow through on the tariff, or is it a negotiation tool? Yeah, I think he's going to follow through on it. Disabled Kane. Free Canada Radio, FCR instead of CBC. There you go. That might work. I hear people that the GPS is telling them to travel, right into the snow. Again, GPS, like, what kind of technology is that on? It's not meant for weather up here. Like, weather changes like on a dime. Road conditions, right? Either they're icy or there's too much snow or whatever, blizzard. The GPS isn't going to be 100% accurate with the changing weather we have constantly. So you got to use your own other sources as well, not just GPS. GPS is a tool, but it needs to be used properly. Real journalism is publishing something that somebody else does not want published. The rest is just public relations. That's George Orwell. Real journalism is publishing something that somebody else does not want published. The rest is just public relations. And unfortunately, I think most of our media is just public relations at this point. And that's what I mainly went to school in, and that's why I can recognize it. So thanks for that, Brian. Much appreciated. Gemini. From here to the Philippines, people are complaining it don't spell English properly, and it's not working right. But that's what we're on now, something called Gemini instead of Google. So Google has their AI version of Chat GPT, and it's called Gemini. And so they've just incorporated it into Google, into their search engine. And so when you ask a question, at the top, very top, 9 times out of 10, Gemini will answer your Google question. So you'll see it kind of typing in real time. You'll put your question into Google, hit whatever, and then you'll see it, the AI kind of answering your question first. But if you scroll down, it's the traditional search, all of the sites that are going to come up underneath that. It's almost like it's taken the place of sponsored links. Remember, those were the first to come up all the time at the top, not the organically searched for links. So now you get Google Gemini comes up first, answering your question. I didn't realize it wasn't proper English there. That's something they're going to have to look at. I hope they have a plan for the homeless out that way. I don't know. I don't know if that's the first thing that comes to someone's mind when there's a snowstorm like that. Let's see. Well, let's worry about the homeless. I think usually they're lower on the scale of priorities, let's say, right? And I don't know if that's right or wrong. I just think that's a fact. But I think they're mainly trying to get the roadways cleared so that way all emergency vehicles and things can get in and out. I think that's proper to do that, at least to concentrate on getting the flow going, because regardless of who we are, if we need an emergency vehicle and attention, it needs to get to us. Fire or ambulance or police. People are searching other media sources to find the information and truth. Podcasts are the wave of the future. People are fed up with the legacy media, lies, and propaganda. So that was Liette, and again, right? That's what it seems to be from me, just with when I just being, thinking for myself and listening to what the media says. It definitely is not real journalism these days. Denise says, I watched the video for Sudbury last night. It was a big fire. You could see the sun, very old water tower in the distance, and fire was hot. Interesting. Jerome, talking to Mike Perron, if you're on, when you and your untrusted counselors going to make reparations and apologize for all that you did over COVID, the COVID lie. Why has this platform forgot to address this topic? And let's not forget the self-righteous leaders of HSN. Yes, so many jurisdictions have come back and apologized for how they treated people during the last 5 years. Our area, not so much. We have not really acknowledged what we did, how we treated people who made the decision that their body was their choice and what they put into their body was their choice. And if they chose not to do it, they shouldn't have lost their jobs. But they did, and there's no apology to this point in time. Actually, you couldn't even run for mayor or council if you didn't have it. So obviously all of the councillors have to be, or have had to have had it in order to be there, right? Because you weren't able to run if you didn't. And you weren't able to work for the city if you didn't either. So, and one of those things that they had to get in order to run is now taken off the shelves, off the market, because it was deemed to cause more problems than it had a solution for. So can you imagine that and what's going on with that now, right? Talking about AstraZeneca. So if you have taken that and now it's deemed to have formed blood clots, which cause all kinds of things, strokes, heart attacks, you name it, worse than getting the initial thing you got it for, which is just basically a flu. All right. you guys have conversations going on here. I'm actually getting better at detecting these things. Yes, over 5 feet of snow, and it's not normal. No, 5 feet of snow is not normal. It's abnormal. 100%. So weather is not normal. It never has been. And now with weather modification technology that is being used, it's even getting even more weirder, right? So a couple new people on here. Betty, good morning from BC. Wow. Love the name too, Betty Zoom. And welcome, Betty. Thanks for being on. And Pierrette as well. Thanks for being on to you as well. Just trying to catch some people that have just arrived as we get all your comments here up on the screen. Go through some of the local news headlines here. And oh my goodness, we are talkative today, which is great. Keep them coming. Okay, so, and Andrew, yes, you just kind of snuck in there. Good morning to you. Thanks for being on. Okay, so let's see here. So Ontario is launching a new regulatory body to watch over PSWs in Ontario. Right now it's voluntary, but it's going to become mandatory as they expand other classes in the healthcare system. You know, there's different classes, right, that are regulated all the way from down up. You got doctors and nurses and nurses assistants and you name it. So PSWs now want to be more regulated and into the medical field as a class. So they're working on that. 56 people were killed in a stampede following clashes at a Guinea soccer match. Now that's incredible. And man, is soccer fans violent. So many times. I don't know. I'd be kind of scared to go to a soccer match, especially one that was going to be, you know, something controversial happen in it or be a close game, rivals, you name it. I don't know if I'd want to be part of that. Okay, that's interesting. So Canada Post, they're saying today they're going to present a framework to reach a deal. So we'll have to see how that goes. I'm not sure. It's the union now that have to listen to what Canada Post has to say. I don't myself have that much faith that it's going to go anywhere. And it's Cyber Monday today, everyone. I guess, I was thinking, Black Friday, and then it's Black Friday weekend, and now it's Cyber Monday. So they give you a good 4 days of deals. Just before we're going to get a couple things that are going to be exempt from GST and HST here in Ontario, starting December the 14th, as our GST holiday from our current NDP Liberal government. Coalition has delivered for us. It's going to be a nightmare for small business, and we'll see that nightmare unfold, and probably again, the solution is worse than the problem again. Government seems to have a theme going on. But anyways, today is Cyber Monday. So if you want to get in on some of those deals, it's the last day to get some deals, I guess, if you want to go sniffing around. The thing is, when you need something, is that particular thing you need on sale? Not always the case, but I've heard from some close people to myself that they've had some good luck. They just kind of put some things in their shopping cart from Amazon or whatever, waited till Black Friday came around, and those particular, you can see which ones the prices came down on from the regular price, and they just pulled the trigger and were able to save a bunch of money. So I thought that was a good strategy. Okay, speaking of the media, today we wanted to get, there's a video I watched this morning from John Stossel, one of my favorite journalists. I love the way he does journalism. And he's just talking about, remember back in the day, everybody, hopefully a lot of you, probably most of you, I would say if not all of you, will remember the days when we played outside. We played with friends, we were called in for dinner, blah, blah, blah. And things have changed. I don't know if you've noticed that things have changed. And there's a reason why things have changed. And we're talking about media and how media is these days. And has media had anything to do with the change of why our kids and parents are afraid to just let kids be kids outside? And there's this feeling of fear all around us. I just thought he sums it up quite well. And I did want to share this on the show this morning because I just think it's really telling of the world we live in and some of the things we need to watch out for, that we don't let this continue. And we are able to understand and see this and kind of stop it before it gets too bad. But this is John Stossel and a story about an unfortunate family in Texas who just let their son walk home a half mile. Watch this.
What terrible thing does a parent need to do to a child to get arrested?
Put your hands behind your back for me.
Okay.
This woman's being handcuffed and soon she'll be taken to jail. Why? She told her son, get out of the car and walk home. Here he is, 8-year-old Aiden. His parents encourage him to play outside on his own to build independence. But one day after karate practice, he misbehaved in the car, and his mom told him, walk the final half mile home by yourself. He started to, but then one woman was shocked to see him walking.
There's a little boy walking down the sidewalk.
She called the cops.
He's a perfect target for somebody to kidnap. Officers are on the way.
The police put Aiden in the back of their car.
Why are you out walking by yourself?
My mom thought I needed exercise.
The police took Aiden home and asked his mom if having him walk home was reasonable.
Does that sound reasonable to you?
For him, it does.
I see huge issue.
Later, his parents told me about it. How far away from home?
It was half a mile.
So you weren't worried about him?
Not at
It's a
all.
safe neighborhood.
In fact, their city ranks among the safest in Texas. But the police officer says, not safe enough.
To have an 8-year-old get out of the car and walk by himself, that's a big problem. Okay, because we don't know who's in that white van.
Does he have a point? No, says Lenore Skenazy.
99.999% repeating of white vans are guys coming to fix your toilet, right? Or guys coming to mow your lawn.
Skenazy's the author of Free Range Kids. She points out that ignorant media mislead us about what's dangerous.
460,000 kids are reported missing every single year.
460,000 children are late for dinner, stayed at school and forgot to tell their mom, stopped to pet a dog. The definition of missing is anybody who has been missing for an hour.
Kidnappings by strangers are extremely rare. Just being in a car is 400 times more dangerous.
You don't see people saying, oh, I could put Johnny in the car, but what if we're T-boned? I wouldn't forgive myself. What if there's a drunk driver? I just won't do it. But people do that when they think about their kid going outside. So here's a kid able to be outside in the fresh air in his boring neighborhood, walking home, and somebody thinks that's so dangerous that they call 911. What's dangerous is that we've come up with a culture that sees a kid outside and fantasizes not just something bad, but the very worst case scenario.
The media do focus on worst cases.
Police say this is a cautionary tale.
Keep your kids close. Don't be on your phones when you're out in public with them. Don't have them walking behind you.
They sound like the cop who lectured Heather.
You have a lot of crazy people out here. I don't trust my child with out of range about 20 or 30 feet from him.
It was a lot of his opinion.
But police officers can act on their opinions.
You may end up going to jail.
Okay.
for endangering a child. Okay. So that being said, put your hands behind your back for me.
Okay.
And he's saying, well, I could put you in cuffs. And then he does put you in cuffs.
I just figured they'd just question me and let me go.
But they jailed her and kept her there overnight.
It was terrifying. I was just waiting, crying.
The next day, her husband was allowed to bail her out. But the government wasn't done with her. Prosecutors indicted her for placing her child in imminent danger of death and acting against the peace and dignity of the state. Heather pled guilty. Why did you plead guilty?
It was a minimum 2 years because it was a state felony charge. So I couldn't risk that for my family.
2 years minimum. Also,
our lawyers, they were going to charge us another $7,000 to go to court.
As part of her plea, she had to write this groveling letter admitting she was wrong.
It was really difficult to say the words, I should not have taken my eyes off of him, when in my heart I knew that he was perfectly safe and capable.
Then, because she'd been charged with a felony, her employer fired her. Aiden's still upset about what the prosecutors and cops did.
What they said is stupid because, like, it's a really safe neighborhood and kids play all the time.
He's like, I can walk home by myself.
When I was a kid, I walked alone often. So did Heather.
I remember very clearly at 7 or 8, walking to Target with a friend.
The new fear of kidnappings is not just an American thing. This map from a British newspaper shows the shrinking ranges of freedom over the past 60 years. Great-grandfather walked 6 miles when he was a child. His son, just 1 mile. His grandson isn't even allowed past the edge of the street. People think that's reasonable because we're told kidnappings and crime are up. Life's too dangerous now. But it's not true. Crime is not up. It's down sharply from 30 years ago.
It's not less safe now. It's more safe.
So you will drop your kid off if this happens again?
No, we're scared.
We're scared. It's not that we don't think it was the right decision, but what they decided for us was not very affordable.
We can't go through that again.
Has it changed the way you parent now?
We don't even leave them in the car to go into the convenience store.
Not because someone's going to take them, but because someone's going to see and call the police.
It's sad that some people think a child walking home is something to call the police about.
Let's make sure that simply trusting your kid in the world, knowing that independence is good for your kid, is not considered a crime.
Skenazy has persuaded these 8 states to pass childhood independence laws. Those clarify that letting kids do things on their own isn't abuse.
Right or left, it doesn't matter. You realize you don't want the government telling you when you can let your kids do things because you know their children better than they do.
Common sense, it's so refreshing just hearing common sense. And unfortunately, it's all the time we have for the show today. I just wanted to show, from John Stossel, great reporter, talking about one of the social issues that we face, in our world today, and how we're raising our children in fear instead of just letting them be kids, and where did that come from? Why are we like that? We don't know. There's lots of reasons, but we are, and maybe culturally we can make a turnaround and change things for the better, right? But anyways, it's all the time we got. We'll be back same time, same place, on the same platforms, God willing, tomorrow. 7:30 to 8:30, and hopefully we'll be on CKLU tomorrow. We weren't this morning, but we were on Facebook and YouTube. We'll be found on demand on those 2 platforms, along with twitter.com/Sudbury News, now X, and Sudbury.news, so make sure to check that out afterwards. The conversation only continues, though, on Facebook, so if you want to kind of check in from time to time during the day, you can continue the conversation there. So make sure to continue to stay aware, like, share, take care. Have a great one, everyone. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.